As we come towards the green flag, Jordan Fisher on the pole, alongside him Brandon Krasta. After a very exciting weekend at Daytona, we now head to the high bank tire shredding facility known as Atlanta Moore Speedway. Into the restart zone, green flag in the air. Jordan Fisher gets a good start down on the inside next to Krasta. Side by side through turns 1 and 2 as Nick Breeding in the 54 looks 3 wide on the inside, alongside with Diego Yepes in the 77, who immediately makes it 3 wide for the lead here as he goes beneath Fisher and sends him into the sucker hole alongside Brandon Krasta. Brandon Krasta clears the 77 of Diego Yepes, as they are still 3 wide for second place behind there. Nick Breeding makes the pass underneath here and is now making a run at Brandon Krasta. And Jordan Fisher, our pole sitter, he is dropping back very quickly. Right now it is an absolute gaggle from basically second place through 15th, as Noah Hart, your Daytona winner, now climbing his way up to third, as his teammate Nick Breeding holds second for the moment here. And Luke Martin now looking to make the pass on Hart as Hart comes up near Ryan Butcher. Everyone currently jockeying for position, everyone trying to get some places here. This track is very hard on tires, and they know that they got to get as many positions as possible, because as this run goes, it is going to be very, very difficult to pass here. As you can see, the 64 of Cody Goforth, he had a run on the bottom but could not hold it. A couple of teams and drivers who did not make it to Daytona last week. One of them includes Aidan Shepard in the 86, driving the Pontiac Trans Am, which is making its debut in the Hardee's National Series today. Unfortunately, they were not able to get this car ready in time for Daytona. And then with Red Bull Racing, who were scheduled to drive Pontiacs in the Hardee's National Series this season, they pulled out of the series, so right now it is just Horizon Group and a Pontiac for the season. Despite the gaggle of cars, Brandon Krasta has managed to somewhat pull away with the lead here. As you can see, it is still an absolute dogfight for second place. But Krasta for the 8 car for CM Racing, he looks to be pretty spiffy so far. And despite with the disadvantage of perhaps not having draft with other cars, he is really, really putting in some really quick laps. Battle for 22nd here is Jeff Bolton, the 32 for SG Motorsports. SG Motorsports announced earlier this week that they were going to be extending their team to 3 cars full-time this season. Now, Jeff Bolton is not the scheduled full-time driver, but they are planning to put in several more different drivers into this 32 car, and we will see which drivers they pick over the season. But right now, Bolton doing a pretty decent job running in the mid-pack. Bolton really struggled to qualify for races last season. I believe only qualified for 1, and that was with using a provisional, but so far he's holding on pretty well in this 32 car. Dane Stinson, the 96 car, making his Hardee's National Series debut. Currently he is scheduled to run a couple of truck races and run a couple of cup races as well, but this is his first Hardee's National Series race, and driving for Joseph Strigley Racing. Jeff James was in this 96 last week, and funny enough, they weren't exactly scheduled to run this 96 for Atlanta, but them and Monster Energy Racing worked out a little deal, and Dane Stinson, now running just inside the top 30, is doing quite well so far. Gotta say, this has been quite the struggle for Jordan Fisher, who won the pole, and not just won the pole, but he essentially has been the fastest car supposedly this weekend. Was number 1 in go home qualifying, was number 1 in the first practice session, was number 1 in the second practice session, and won the pole. So, but they are currently just barely running inside the top 20. you gotta wonder if maybe the track changing over the weekend. Remember, the Truck Series and the Cup Series have both been running practice sessions here, so mayhaps with more rubber on the track and with the weather changing, this O2 car has not been as quick as I think a lot of people were expecting it to be. Nick Breeding in the 54 car has got a problem. He has slowed up suddenly in the tri-oval, and he pulls it below the yellow apron. And that car does not sound healthy. Breeding down to the bottom of the racetrack. He is rumbling below the yellow line, and something broke on the 54. Nick Breeding coming down. He's reporting a possible issue with the engine here, and I think this 54 team, I think they may be done here. They're going to check the 54 and work on it, but we'll see if they get this car back on track. But tough break for Nick Breeding after such a really good performance at Daytona last week. Sean Angel has managed to get to second place, and this is the biggest gap that second place has probably had so far in this first 23 laps or so. Sean Angel, and not just Sean Angel, but Bradley Bishop Jr., the AFRT as a whole, did not have exactly the best Daytona race in terms of their full-time cars, but right now they seem to be picking it up a little bit here as Angel trying to make a run at Brandon Crasta for the lead here as Bradley Bishop Jr. is trying to hold off several cars for third place here as Tyler Black in the 84 is trying to make a move on the middle lane. As you can see, this track somewhat has multiple grooves. The outside is definitely a very usable line if you can hit it correctly, but the bottom lane has been the preferred lane so far. As they continue to run side by side for third place here, Black is trying to get clear of the 45 as Kyle Collins in the 41 is now trying to get himself into this third place battle here. As we begin to approach green flag pit stops here, Jack Halleck in the 74 car for Spartan Motorsports, they have really been struggling here, currently running in the 33rd position here, battling for 32nd with Ryan Dagby, who's making his first start of the season. Jack Halleck has been reporting that this car has not been handling very well, and yeah, that's a bit of an understatement as Spartan Motorsports is one of the top teams in the series here, and they're going to need to make some really big adjustments on this 74 car if he's going to want to have any chance of a good day here. Dane Stinson, the 96, with a problem. Reporting no fuel in the car. That's interesting. I'm not sure how they could have ran out of gas. I mean, they're about to start pit stops here, but Dane Stinson into pit lane here. Luckily, he's not going to, I don't think, lose too much time here, but you can see he is going to have to perhaps fix something on this 96 car. If there's a lack of fuel, that's one thing, but I think they may have to inspect this thing further. Oh, Sean Angel with a problem in the 44 car. He makes contact with Kev Shear in the 22 of Luke Martin and comes across the track as he's trying to get below the yellow line to pit lane. Sean Angel reporting perhaps a tire down here, and he's going to just barely get to pit lane. He's going to bring Jeff Bolton in with him as they begin the cycle of pit stops. And if it's just a tire going down, this 44 team just caught a huge break. As the rest of the field comes through pit lane here, Brandon Crasta, the leader, pitted the previous lap. Bradley Bishop Jr., he's going to make the choice to stay out here an extra lap. And this is an interesting strategy here. I'm not too sure. This track has over 2 seconds to tire fall off, and I think this 45 team is going to be going for a massive undercut here, and we'll see how well that plays out as Lars Van Schijk comes up out of pit lane. And you can see the tire difference here. Lars immediately flew right away from the 45 as Bishop comes to pit lane. Brandon Crasta coming around here, still the leader, looks like, And I don't think that's going to change as he flies by a lot of cars who are just coming off of pit lane here. So Krasta going to keep the lead, and he's going to have a pretty decent gap here. Dane Stinson, he has supposedly lost 2 laps as they've had to address an issue with the fuel in the car. It wasn't just the car was out of gas. Apparently something with the fuel system broke, and now Stinson 2 laps down. He's going to have to try and see if he can get one of his laps back here at the very least. If you just want to know how much tires matter here, Jeff Bolton, who was running outside the top 20, he's running inside the top 5 at the moment for SC Motorsports here. Bolton did several laps on a new fresh set of tires and just made up an absolute buck ton of time. But you got to wonder, by pitting that early, how much that car is going to hurt on the long run here. His teammate Patrick Smith, who scored SC Motorsports his first career top 5 last week at Daytona, is also sitting in 6th place behind, but he pitted the same lap as, well, the lap after as Sean Angel and the cars around him, so SC Motorsports, they've got to be very happy here having 2 cars in the top 6 right now, as Smith is going to get past the 32 for 5th place here, and yeah, I think this 32 is already running low on speed here because of the tires here, and you can see how easy they got passed by his own teammate and the 3 of Shade Eves. Brandon Krasa's lead here is starting to slowly diminish here as he is running. He was about 3 seconds ahead of the field after the pit stops here, but Gatlin Downing, the 12 car, slowly been making it up. Here's Dane Stinson in the 96 car. Remember, he is 2 laps down, so he is trying to get one of his laps back here, and he is racing Krasta for his lap back here. I was almost going to say for position, but with how fast this 96 car is, you'd almost believe it. I think they made some pretty good adjustments in this 96 car, but Stinson, the rookie, fighting Brandon Krasta here. That's a CM Racing car he's trying to beat, and he's going to get by him. And they came out roughly the same lap here, so it's not really much of a tire difference. Pretty impressive work by Dane Stinson here. Oh wait, hold on a second. He may have a problem here. He is swerving across the track. And we're being told, report tire down on the 96 car as, whoa, Stinson into the middle of the track. No one hits him, and he gets below the apron. But Dane Stinson, that was a really impressive pass he made, but you have to wonder if he might have overheated the tires on his car trying to make that pass. And that's a shame for Stinson. He already lost 2 laps. He's probably going to lose another 1 or 2 here. And I'll tell you what, that little hiccup with Stinson, that really hurt that A car, because that already cost him almost over a second and a half, essentially, because he had to slow up for him. But now this A car does not seem to be as quick as it was before here, as Patrick Smith in the 04 in 2nd place, pulling Shade Eves, Gatlin Downey, and Tyler Black, and Sean Angel behind him. They're starting to make a run at the lead here. Bradley Bishop Jr. fell outside of the top 12 after pitting late, and so far he's making up this gap as he has got his way up to 8th place, looking for 7th place from Jeff Bolton, who was one of the first people to come to pit lane. You can see the tire difference here is very massive, as Bishop's going to try and go around the outside here to make this pass for the spot. Bishop currently running some of the fastest laps on the track, unsurprisingly. And I think he should be able to get past Bolton here. I don't think Bolton's going to really fight this too hard. I think he understands the position he's in, and Bishop goes through into 7th place. Battle for 2nd here, and maybe also for the lead here in a moment, as Ace Wild getting put a lap down. Shade Eves is going to go 3 wide. And Patrick Smith, he's going to take the high line here, as Krasta, that A car does not look very healthy. He is going to lose the lead here with relative ease, as Eves just goes right under him, and I think he's just going to pass him with essentially no effort whatsoever. And he does. Shade Eves to the lead. Brandon Krasta has been the dominant car all day up to this point, and the handling on the car just looks like it has gone away. Crasta still falls only to second place here, but you can see he is really struggling as Shade Eves starts to pull away. Gatlin Downey making the pass for second place against Brandon Crasta here, who has got help from Patrick Smith in the 04 car. Patrick Smith, who got the team's first top 5 last week at Daytona, as we mentioned earlier. He wants to go for 2 in a row here. And he is going to push Downey past Crasta here. Not much manufacturer loyalty there, but whatever works, I suppose, as Smith shoves Downey. He is all over that 12 car's bumper. Tell you a driver that we're quite surprised is not running at the front right now is Noah Hart in the 18. Noah Hart, who won last week at Daytona to start off his season on a really high note, and this weekend has shown some pretty decent speed. And if you want to talk about the truck race yesterday, led 32 laps and finished in 4th, so kind of surprising to see Noah Hart, and this is his technical home track for the series. I think a lot of people were expecting this 18 car to be running up at the front, but they still got some work to do. Fortunately, they still got one pit stop left to make some final adjustments here. Another car and driver that we're probably expected to be running for the win right now is Jordan Fisher in the 02. This 02 team, like we mentioned earlier, they've been #1 on every session so far this weekend, and not just in the Hardee series. Jordan Fisher had a really great truck race yesterday as James Ellison, he is flying in that 93 car. I believe he may have pitted the same time Bradley Bishop Jr. did, because that 93 looked like they just pit the damn thing about a couple of laps ago. But Jordan Fisher in this 02 car, definitely not the day I don't think they were expecting. A driver we have not really gotten much to talk about today has been Kev Shear in the 0 car. Currently running in 12th position here, battling Bobo Jones for 11th. Kev Shear, who was given a 25-point penalty and a month-long probation for his quote-unquote antics at Daytona last week. This was definitely not the start of the season the defending series champion wanted to have, and they've got quite the hole to dig themselves out of, but fortunately it is extremely early in the season, so if you're going to do something like that, better now than later. Ooh, problem from Gatlin Downey in the 12 car. And we're trying to figure out what the problem could be. This is definitely not a scheduled pit stop here. And Downey reporting something with this. He thinks something with the suspension may have broke, and he's going to bring the 12 to pit lane. And if this is terminal, this is a very terrible break for Gatlin Downey, who was having such a great race so far, running in the top 10 and up to second place earlier. Here's a battle for the lead that we missed. We saw Gatlin Downey come to pit lane for a problem here, but this was the battle for the lead here as this was happening. And Patrick Smith in the 04 car, he is trying to clear the 3 of Shade Eves here. Let's see if he can clear him as they're coming up on the 21 of JD Martin. And Patrick Smith, what a surprise this has been so far. At Daytona, you kind of expect some teams to really make a nice surprise run every now and again. But here at Atlanta, this has been a completely different story. Smith has genuinely been fast, and they were running outside the top 15 earlier in the race. I wonder what adjustments they could have made under that first pit stops here, because it feels like the 04 has basically come to life all of a sudden. And Patrick Smith, he is going to clear Shade Eves. He has got the lead in the 04 car. Gatlin Downey, he is signaling to his crew chief. I think he thinks he's done, and I think they're going to pull that car behind the wall. And that's a shame for Gatlin Downey. Yep, you can see they pulled him out. And Gatlin Downey, who had such a really great race today, he is out of it 60 laps in. James Ellison, currently the fastest car on the racetrack here with the freshest tires here as he runs all the way towards the apron to make that pass on Kyle Collins while lapping Ace Wild. Ellison looking really fast here in this 93 car. That undercut strategy seems to be working out for them so far, and we'll see if they come into pit lane with everybody else or they will take another crack at the undercut here. Coming up on the final pit stop of the day. Dane Stinson, despite his couple of problems, is currently running in 41st place right now and is 3 laps down. And actually has the fresh tires in the field. My mistake, but in terms of lead lap cars, Ellison's definitely the fastest car on the racetrack here, but Stinson here, they're going to go 4 wide for a brief moment here as Jake West. He is trying to take advantage of the fact that Stinson's not having a good time with these slower cars here. But yeah, we've seen a lot of mechanical failures so far today, and you have to wonder, I mean, Atlanta's not exactly the nicest track in the world for a car's suspension or a car's tires, so maybe it's to be expected here, but... And also you combine that with the lack of testing in the off-season. I think a lot of teams are trying to still readjust to this season. So we will see if these mechanical problems continue to persist as the season goes along here. Sean Angel in the 44 is going to kick off pit stops here. Remember, Angel was one of the first cars to pit in the last cycle because of a tire going down, and surprisingly, that didn't actually cost Angel that much time. He actually got back into the top 5 after all that. And we will see what happens here as we head into the final pit stop cycle of the afternoon here. Patrick Smith brings Shade Eves down pit lane, as Bradley Bishop Jr. and James Ellison, who remember stayed out longer than everyone else, they are going to run that same strategy again. As Patrick Smith, the surprise leader of the day, we'll see if this 014 can get him a good stop here. Here's the race off pit lane. Patrick Smith, I think he's going to keep the lead here. Once everything cycles past us, he gets ahead of Shade Eves in the 3 car. 014 gave him a very good stop. We're being told a 15.0, which is definitely one of the faster stops we've seen so far today. And here comes Sean Angel here. Remember, he just came off pit lane. He just pitted in this 44 car. They have had the time to make up time by getting an extra lap of tire. And he is going to move up into 2nd place, we believe. So Shade Eves, I think he's going to fall out of 2nd place here. Now it's going to be Sean Angel who's going to take his spot in terms of who's going to race with Patrick Smith for this win potentially. Final cars to pit were Bradley Bishop Jr. and James Ellison and Han Allen. And you can see they are coming back up into what I believe is just outside the top 10. And they're going to have quite the gap to make up here. But we saw how fast they were, especially the 93 car. This 93 is pretty fast as the run goes on. So we'll see what they can do here. They are running just outside the top 10, we are being confirmed. As Jeff Bolton, as you can see up in front, is running against Diego Yepes for the 9th place position here. 20 laps to go here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and Patrick Smith for SC Motorsports has the lead. But he's got Sean Angel behind him in the 44 car. A lot of people were surprised that Sean Angel was not called up to the Cup Series this past season. Or for this season for that matter, and he is definitely trying to keep his stocks quite high here as he is starting to catch the 04 of Patrick Smith. Bobo Jones, who has had quite the quiet day here, is running in 4th place here. We haven't not seen much of Jones. He's been kind of hovering the top 10 area for most of the day. But they're looking at potential 3rd place finish here as Brandon Crasta. I mean, you want to talk about a team that's trying to rebound here. They had dominated the first half of this race, and their handling went away after the first pit stop here, maybe because of the battle with Dane Stinson, but I think they may have gotten that problem somewhat fixed here. Crasta looks a little bit quicker than he did the last time around. Sean Angel ever so slightly running down this 04 car. I tell you what, Patrick Smith, he is running some very good laps, as is Sean Angel though. Patrick Smith knows what a big deal this could be if he could hold off Angel here, and you got to imagine he's going to fight Angel with every inch of his life to get this potential win here. But you got to think of the difference in equipment here. Sean Angel and AFRT, this is a very successful team. This is a championship level team against a team that had never done a top 5 until 7 days ago. But they are going to give everything they've got against Angel here, and so far they are putting up a really good fight here. Currently looking at Doug Lockrow here real quick, and Doug Lockrow, who got a very shocking second place last week at Daytona for Gatlin Downey Incorporated. As it stands here, Lockrow is currently running in the 25th place position here. A bit more realistic compared to last week, but like we said earlier, Daytona is very much a place of opportunity. But Doug Lockrow, they know they had a really great run at Daytona, and it gave them a very massive opportunity here, and we'll see what improvements that this team can make as the season goes on. And up in front of him, Jack Halleck, battling Luke Martin here. Halleck, who has been fighting handling issues all day today. I think they've managed to rectify some of it, but they've only just now gone to 23rd place here. Battle for the lead here with just over 10 laps to go. Sean Angel on the bottom line beneath Patrick Smith. And Angel's going to make the pass here. Angel had been pushing really hard to get past the 04 car. I don't think he was expecting Smith to put up as much of a fight as he has. But Smith here, he's going to still keep up the 04 car. He kind of backed up his corner in turn 3, and he's got somewhat of a run entering turn 1. Patrick Smith in the 04, he is going to fight to the death here. We mentioned earlier how this team got a top 5 at Daytona after over 100 starts, and they want to continue to capitalize on that success here. As, ooh, look at that turn in by the 04. That car turned really well through turn 3. And I don't think Angel saw that coming. And Smith is going to retake the lead briefly here with 10 laps to go. Angel on the outside trying to fight back here. Patrick Smith trying to clear him. Angel gets a little bit of tight in the middle of the corner. And Smith, if he can take the clearance here, he's going to. Angel falls back into second place, only leading 1 lap. As the battle for lead rages on here, we got a battle for 3rd place as well. Ryan Butcher, Brandon Crasta, and Shade Eves. They are all fighting like hell for this 3rd place spot here. Ryan Butcher, this has also been a really good day for this 88 car. Butcher finished 2nd in the Truck Championship last year, driving for Shade Benyako this year in the Hardee Series. Looking for a very good 3rd place finish here, after unfortunately getting involved in a crash or 2 at Daytona. But this rookie looking quite impressive so far as he clears Crasta for 3rd. But meanwhile here, with 6 laps to go, Patrick Smith starting to somewhat pull a gap here on Sean Angel, as Dane Stinson, who just pitted for fresh tires. Remember, he is off cycle here. And, ooh, Stinson into the back of the 04! That was a bit unnecessary. Dane Stinson makes contact with Patrick Smith here, and oh boy, I tell you what, if you're that 04 car, you gotta be hoping that didn't just mess something up here. Stinson flies right away, but Patrick Smith, that was a heart attack moment there, but I don't think it cost him too much time. Three laps to go here in Atlanta Motor Speedway. Patrick Smith on track for one of the biggest upsets of the Hardee's National Series in quite some time. I think he's only going to have 1 lap car to deal with. That's the 08 of Dewey Schramm. But Sean Angel, he is driving so hard, trying to get that 04. I think he may have burned everything he had to make that one pass, and I think Patrick Smith just did a better job of managing his car here. And Schramm gets out of the way very respectfully, does not get involved. Although definitely not helping Angel here, as Angel, he's going to go past here. I think this 08 car may have some kind of engine problem, because car is really off the pace on the straightaways here. But right now, Patrick Smith through turns 3 and 4, he's going to come around and take the white flag for S3 Motorsports. And if he could just run one decent lap here, he's going to have his first career Hardee's National Series victory. They will not catch the lap cars ahead. Angel's going to need to have the lap of his life if he wants to get to this 04. But I think that 44 has run out of juice. Through turns 3 and 4, Patrick Smith in the 04 for S3 Motorsports. In what has been a long time coming, what has been a long struggle for S3 Motorsports, off the final corner to the checker flag, Patrick Smith scores his first win in the Hardee's National Series, and S3 Motorsports at long last heads to victory lane. Their first top 5 last week, and their first win 1 week later. What a run for this 04 car. I don't think anyone ever expected this. And not just by luck or anything, this was by pure pace, and that is absolutely impressive. They made some adjustments after that first stop, and that car came to life. What an absolute amazing job by this team. Sean Angel comes across second. You have to believe that team was expecting maybe a little bit more fight at the end, but they threw everything they had. Ryan Butcher, 3rd place. Great job for the rookie. Shade Eves in 4th. Brandon Crasta leads roughly half the race, finishes 5th. Bobo Jones, 6th. Bradley Bishop Jr.'s undercut strategy earned him his 7th place position. Kev Shearer finishes 8th, which should surely put him above the negative point slot. RJ Bishop quietly finishes 9th, and Cody Goforth in his first start of the season, he finishes in 10th place, and that is your top 10. But this was the Hardee's National Series at Atlanta. Thank you for watching, and congratulations to Patrick Smith and S3 Motorsports on a very well-earned victory.